Mike Lee and Dylan jumping into the chat early. Good afternoon, Dylan. Good afternoon, Mike Lee. Smash that like button on the way in. No, I have not been drinking. This is Tennis New York Giants Straight Talk, brought to you by the mighty FanDuel. It's FanDuel.com, the number one sports book in America on the Believe Network. I have not been drinking because someone saw the title, someone saw what I wrote, and they said, you must be on crack.
Gentlemen, what brings me to my next point. Don't smoke crack.
And no, I am not on crack. I literally did post that Jaxson Dart will be the next John Harbaugh quarterback in reference to success. Now, I am going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this right over and over again, but I'm going to get to the chat real quick. RWB says, good afternoon, Tim, with the 5th overall pick. Where would you like the Giants to go as of now? Wide receiver trade down, linebacker, or is our linebacker coach, interim DC, still staying on the team? I don't know what he's doing, but like I said, I would go linebacker. I would want Reese, or I'm going to stay pat and grab an offensive lineman, or I'm going to trade down. We got Chris for the love of MMA. My brother, what's going on? Let's go, Big Blue. So glad the channel isn't going away or being sold. Smash that like button. Ooh, I could have sold it. Well, damn it, Chris. Why didn't you tell me that was a fucking option? Would have fucking sold it. But I was thinking about this with Jaxson Dart yesterday. And I was, it was kind of, I was thinking about it a lot. About if you take a look, and maybe I have more trust in John Harbaugh than I have in Jaxson Dart's talent. And I think that's where we need to start. I think my trust factor for that. Brandon says, I'm surprised, Tim, what you made. Tim, I'm surprised, Tim, what made you have a change of heart on Dart? Well, see, here's the thing. I really didn't change my opinion on Dart. I still think he is a long ways to go from being a competent NFL quarterback, a true competent NFL quarterback. What's up, Hirsch, for real? My thought process is I've changed my philosophy, my thought process because of John Harbaugh. And there is literally a timeline. There's a progression that we're going to go through, and it's not going to take very long to go through, that will prove to you why the Dart-Harbaugh marriage, as you're hitting the like button, actually could bear the fruits of Jaxson Dart becoming a competent NFL quarterback, and maybe even beyond a competent NFL quarterback. Oh. Intrigue, because you have to look at this from the outside perspective. Well, now it's an inside perspective because John Harbaugh's here. John Harbaugh has had what you would refer to as a pendulum swing in reference to quarterbacks. Came in with the mighty Joe Flacco, went out with the mighty Lamar Jackson. And it was John Harbaugh's flexibility and understanding of his quarterback throughout his tenure, his 18 years in Baltimore, that really led to the success of Joe Flacco in the 2012 Super Bowl, and also led to the success of Lamar Jackson and the 2 MVPs and all the success he had in Baltimore as well. What's up, Big Greg? Now, to Zach's point, says Dart equal Harbaugh could be the Bo Nix Sean Payton relationship. No, I don't think it's that. Now, let's get into this for a second, though. And like I said, I was thinking about this all day yesterday when I was on the stream. And something I had to go back and do a lot of research. So, you know me, I don't like fucking doing research. Research hurts my brain. I'd rather just come on this mic and talk. But when Joe Flacco early in his career came into the league, he was the reverse Jaxson Dart. Joe Flacco came into a system that was heavily emphasized with the run and Ray Rice. Former Rutgers star Ray Rice and girlfriend beater on the elevator, Ray Rice. So the offense when he first came in, you could say was, again, like I said, was very run-oriented. It was designed to basically control the clock and allow Baltimore, and especially in that early years, starting in 2008, it control the clock and basically just rely on their defense instead of being centered around Joe Flacco chucking the rock. Now, it had worked in 2000 with Trent Dilfer. You build an all-star defense, and then you could basically have me at quarterback as long as you're running the ball. Now, Flacco of Flacco's first start, he ran for which is kind of funny because he was a running quarterback a little bit, which was kind of crazy if you think about it, because of the fact that his first start against the Bengals, he ran for a 38-yard touchdown, and it was his ability at certain points in time of his scrambling ability and his ability to move, which significantly outpaced everything that he had done. Now, the team's overall rushing record in that 2008 season was 2,376 yards compared to only 3,000 passing yards, which is relatively low. So the identity of those early successful teams with Flacco was to be a game manager, was to not get himself in trouble, avoid the big mistakes, stay away from the deep passes when possible, even though he had a big arm, but effectively run the play action and just keep that strong running threat with Flacco. But there was a shift. There was a shift in philosophy in reference to Flacco, and I placed this squarely on John Harbaugh, because you look at the 2012 Super Bowl run. That Super Bowl run was, in the beginning, fixated on the run game. That's what it was. It was literally the Cam Cameron offense of run the ball, establish a run first, make sure that's what we do, and then kind of back it up with Falco. I keep wanting to call him Falco. I'm going to call him Shane Falco now, with Joe Flacco. Ray Rice ran for 1,143 yards and 9 touchdowns in that season, but there was a loss in week 14. And the Ravens and John Harbaugh fired Cam Cameron, and they promoted Jim Caldwell to offensive coordinator. And what did Caldwell do with only a couple weeks left in the season? He kind of changed everything. And this is kind of the thought process about John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh, in a playoff season, as Baltimore is heading towards the playoff in week 14, fires his coordinator, promotes Jim Caldwell, and what do they do to the offense? They turn the motherfucker upside down. They go with more of a no huddle look, a faster pace offense, which is something that Falco will tell you. Shane Falco. Well, now I'm gonna have Shane Falco stuck in my fucking head. But Joe Flacco, which is something that he preferred. Now, during the 2000, now remember, this was only a couple weeks going into the playoffs. There was this dramatic pendulum shift that John Harbaugh said, fuck it, this ain't working. It's working, but it's working to a point. We need to do something different. So they took that whole philosophy that they've been doing since 2008 for 4 years and changed it. And then what does Flacco do? He has one of the greatest postseason runs a quarterback has ever had, throwing for 11 touchdowns and 0 interceptions for a passer rating of 117 in 4 games. Think about that. Then you got to remember the Mile High Miracle, the 70-yard pass to what's his name, Jones, against the Broncos in divisional. And what does Flacco do? Completes 22 of 33 with 287 and 3 touchdowns. Again, without interception in the Super Bowl. So they went from this safe, and I should rephrase this, John Harbaugh went from this safe system, and at week 14 turned the whole fucking thing on its head and allowed the presence of his quarterback to succeed. He saw something in his quarterback that could work. Even though they had been running the same system for 4 years, they transformed the entire offense into something special by firing Cam Cameron and promoting Jim Caldwell, because Harbaugh knew something about his quarterback that we didn't know. And that intrigues me. And then what happens after that? You go and you are John Harbaugh. You're part of the decision-making process. You go and you trade up for Lamar Jackson. Now, Lamar Jackson, coming out of Louisville, most people said that he was not an accurate passer. Said that he did not have the ability to be the NFL quarterback. He should be a running back. He should be a wide receiver. He should be a tight end. You know, they were going to run the pistol. They would have to run the veer. But it was interesting because under Greg Rome, what did they do with Lamar Jackson those first 2 years, which was kind of revolutionary, which also goes back to John Harbaugh. It's a run-heavy scheme designed with a unique dual-threat offensive player in Lamar Jackson. And they did do things like run a pistol. I don't think they ran the veer, but they did run an option. They did all these things. They ran a very identified run-oriented offense first. Now they're coming off, and this is what's funny, because they're coming off the Joe Flacco era, which was this pass-heavy offense. And now they're going back because of their quarterback concept, go back to this ground and pound shit. And then in 2019, which was his second season, Lamar Jackson rushes for a single season record of 1,206 yards on 176 carries. And he led the NFL in rushing the Ravens led the NFL in rushing in back-to-back seasons. But it was weird because with all this run-centric from coming out of the quarterback, they also opened up the pass efficiency by going to a play-action offense and effectively throwing the ball downfield. So for Jackson, who was not a pedigree deep ball passer coming out of Louisville, John Harbaugh looks at this and says, you know what? We're going to be run-centric, but I'm going to take shots down the motherfucking field, and this motherfucker is going to throw for 36 touchdowns and win the 2019 MVP and become the first player to have over 3,000 yards passing and 1,500 yards rushing in his first two seasons combined. This is a guy that understands, in reference to John Harbaugh, this is a guy that gets it. He gets his quarterback. And like I said, you go from the likes of Flacco into the likes of Lamar Jackson. You literally, after 4 years, make a pendulum shift in week 14 before you head into the playoffs. Not only does Harbaugh fire his coordinator, promotes the guy, but he literally turns the whole offense upside down and goes from this run-heavy offense to this passing, up-tempo, no-huddle offense. And it's amazing to me that Harbaugh does not get as much credit, maybe outside of Baltimore, for doing such things as this. So then I was thinking all this last night, or 2 nights ago. Don't forget to hit the like button. So I'm thinking about this the other night, and I'm thinking about this, and I'm looking at the Giants' philosophy, and I'm looking at Jaxson Dart's rookie season. And we've said this before, if you really break down Jaxson Dart's rookie season, outside of plays here, outside of doing a little improv there, becoming your own point guard, you're being a point guard trying to create your own shot, there was truly no sophisticated NFL passing schemes in reference to what the genius Brian Dable and Mike Kafka were running. They were basically doing just what they did best, or what Jaxson Dart did best at Ole Miss. They even said we have integrated the Ole Miss playbook into our offense. So at this point in time, they're not developing Jaxson Dart to be this starting quarterback. We've showed it before. He can complete 72% of his passes from -2 to 8, drops down to 46 when he goes from 10 to 20, and goes anything over 20 is 24%. You could see the percentage drop. You can also see, as soon as the Giants went off script for Jaxson Dart, because you always script your first 15 plays. As soon as they went off script, we wouldn't do anything again until like the fourth quarter. There'd be plays sprinkled in here and there, but we would not do anything offensively to the fourth quarter. And a lot of it was garbage time touchdowns. A lot of it was against garbage time defenses. So in my mind, Brian Dable, who is now the offensive coordinator over with the Tennessee Titans, dear Lord, Cam Ward's probably like, fuck. Also want to give a big shout out to Joe Brady taking over the job for the Buffalo Bills. I actually said Joe Brady would be one hell of a head coach. So we're going to see what happens on that. But I think Dable and Kafka did a disservice to Jaxson Dart by, in some regards, not teaching him the nuances of being an NFL quarterback. It's great if you run around. It's great if you do all these things. It's great if you scramble. It's great if you end up in the 10-5 times, but you're not learning to play the game. You're not learning to read defenses. You're not learning to go through your progressions. You're not tailoring and suiting the offense towards what you perceive to be Jaxson Dart's best skill set. And I think that's where I'm more excited about John Harbaugh, because we have seen and we saw the pattern with both both Joe Flacco, not Shane Falco, and Lamar Jackson, that this head coach has a propensity to allow his coordinators to coach. And if it's not working, he has shown that he is not afraid to move on from somebody. Like I said, you fired Cam Cameron week 14, installing someone else, so your quarterback could then be what you need that quarterback to be. You need to play with that quarterback strengths. And I think if you would have brought in Kevin Stefanski, I probably would have said Jaxson Dart would have been off this team in 3 years. Seriously. Because there are still so many things. And you could love Jaxson Dart, you could hate Jaxson Dart, but there are so many things that Kevin Stefanski just did so wrong in Cleveland for years. Not even the Shedeur Sanders thing, not even the Deshaun Watson thing, but he's did so many things wrong in Cleveland for years that if you would have brought someone like that in here, I think by year 4, Jaxson Dart would have been gone, because I don't think he would have learned how to play NFL quarterback. Now, a lot of this is going to have to fall on Jaxson Dart. A lot of this is going to have to fall on that they're going to have to buy into this shit. And I think they will, because they're young enough players to understand, yeah, we're going to have to buy into this. So I think if like I said, if you would have gone with Stefanski, I think you would have flamed out. If you would have went McCarthy, I still think there would have been success for Jaxson Dart, but I don't think it would be predominant. But if you wanted to go and have the most predominant successful chance to turn around and make Jaxson Dart into a traditional NFL quarterback, then you have to go that way. Then you had to go John Harbaugh. You had to get John Harbaugh, and that was the other thing. You had to get John Harbaugh's buy-in in reference to Jaxson Dart, because if he's not going to buy into this, there was no way any of this was going to work. So, what's the philosophy with Jaxson Dart? I watched most of, and it's just like I said, this has been going on for a couple weeks. I watched most of Jaxson Dart's games. And like I said, we've shown it before, we've done it before, we've pulled them up before ad nauseum. We're not going to continuously keep pulling up his passing charts, but we've always pulled up his passing charts, and they all show the same thing. Very competent when you're throwing between -2 and 10 yards. Anything beyond that, it gets dicey. Anything beyond 10, anything going over into 20, you're kind of fucked. And like I said, we went through almost every single game with Jaxson Dart. So when I looked at Lamar Jackson, I watched a lot of Lamar Jackson games in Louisville, and I also watched him because Greg Schiano was over, the Rutgers coach at that time as well. And you watched a lot of Lamar Jackson games, and you saw something in his college game where some people said mechanically he wasn't there, but I always believed he had the mechanics to be a more accurate passer. I don't think Jaxson Dart, and I kept saying people over and over again, he reminds me at times of a scrambling Chad Pennington. Now, Chad Pennington wasn't mobile at all, but he was extremely accurate within 5 to 35 yards. So my thought process is this. Well, as you can see that Jaxson Dart's passing percentage drops vis-a-vis these 3 levels, you're never going to have that big arm quarterback, which you don't always necessarily have to have. I mean, Joe Montana towards the end of his career was basically a rag arm, but you do have to have someone who is competent enough at all 3 levels. Now, this is where Todd Monken or whomever is going to be the offense coordinator, like I said, I'm going to trust John Harbaugh to bring this guy in, but you need to teach Jaxson Dart consistency between the levels. You need to get out of running this Harry high school offense. It's not even Harry high school. And we'll call it, you got to get out of running this college style offense because of the fact that what Lamar Jackson did in the beginning of his career, you can't do anymore. You can't, because teams athletic. I mean, fuck, defensive linemen are too athletic to do what Lamar Jackson did those first 2 seasons. But you need to teach Jaxson Dart, and this is going to be up to the quarterback coach, the offense coordinator, and John Harbaugh, the ability to have the understanding that you cannot always throw, you can't always hit the escape hatch. You can't always sit there and say, okay, my first option's not there. I'm going to scramble around a little bit, and if I can't find it, I'm going to run. You need to trust your offensive line. That's the first thing. And that was one of the things in the scouting report when Jaxson Dart came out of Ole Miss. They even said that he did not trust his offensive line in college. And then when things got a little money in the pocket, he fucking took off. Here we go. Here we go. We got, this is a good one right here. With Giants 4 rings, says Jaxson Dart put his foot on Denver, started for 3/4, played better than Denver, than pretty much everyone else in the league outside of maybe Lawrence. He'll be fine. One game. So you're going to equate his entire career to 3/4. Did we not learn anything in reference to? Did we not learn anything in reference to Daniel Jones? Did we not learn anything about that? No, we didn't. Did we not learn anything? If you take a look at Jaxson Dart's college career, how his passing percentage dropped exponentially each quarter, and his off-target percentage got worse each quarter, and it came down to its even worse number, which was like a 14.9 off-target percentage in the fourth quarter of his entire college career. That doesn't go away. You can teach certain things, but when your passing percentage and your off-target percentage consistently gets lower as the game goes along and gets worse in the fourth, there's a problem. And these are the things that these are the things that people don't. Giants rings 4-6-88 doesn't want to talk about this. You want to talk about 3 great quarters in Denver. What happened in Denver? Denver put up 33 points. Why? Do you want the honest truth why they put up 33 points? I'm going to tell you the honest truth why. The offense couldn't stay on the field. Everyone faults the defense, but when you're, and also the bad interception, when the offense cannot stay on the field and control the clock, that's when you give up 33 points in the fourth quarter. And there's a reason why, if you cannot consistently, on average, complete passes in the fourth quarter with accuracy and have the ability to open up the middle of the field, which then opens up your running game, these are when bad things happen. What I'm saying is, and 4 rings just doesn't fucking get it, that you have to have the ability to be consistent. You have to have the ability to be consistent from the first play of the first quarter, not when the plays are scripted, to the last play of the game. The Giants scored so many times on the first 2 drives of Jaxson Dart's career. Everyone fucking bonkers in that game against the Chargers because they scored on their scripted plays. But then when he got his 60 yards in that first couple series, he threw for 45 the rest of the game, 45 total yards the rest of the game. There is a reason, because teams clamp down. Now, the worst part about all this is teams now have almost a full season of film on Jaxson Dart. They will sit there and they are, especially the NFC East, they are going to break down every single tendency, every single nuance, every single cadence, every single arm motion. They will break down every single play and chart it. I know, because I've done it. They will chart every single thing. They will know that when Jaxson Dart's necklace swings to the left, he's going to have a propensity of throwing the ball 4 yards down the field. They will know all of this. So what's going to happen is you are going to need a qualified, bona fide NFL head coach to come in here, as such as John Harbaugh, who has had the ability to work with literally 2 different style quarterbacks in Joe Flacco and Lamar Jackson and be successful with both of those. So you're going to have to trust the entire talent of these things and figure it out. And that's what Jaxson Dart's going to have to do, because teams are going to know, okay, Jaxson Dart, if you take, like I said, let's go to the tape. Jaxson Dart, all the whites are incompletions. Jaxson Dart has a problem when the ball goes over 10 yards. Every team is going to look at these charts. Anything that you take a look, anything over 10 yards, there's a ton of white. Jaxson Dart, again, anything over 10 yards is a lot of white. They're going to see that, and they're going to know that. So what the ability of a head coach such as John Harbaugh is going to have to do, who has worked, again, like I said, with Lamar Jackson, with Flacco. And this is where I'm going to trust him and Todd Monken's. They are going to basically have to say to Jaxson Dart, we don't want to take away what you do well, but we need to augment and improve on what you don't do well. And for those things, like with Lamar Jackson, which people perceived to not be a strength, people would say, Lamar, like I said, I remember clearly he should be a safety. Lamar Jackson, he should be a running back. He should be a wide receiver. And so what does this guy do? His first, what does he do? They take what there is a perceived deficiency in his game, especially in that 2019 MVP season. They still run the ball. They still run him the ball. He still runs for 1,206 yards and 7 touchdowns. But what they do is they sucker in the defense with the foundation of this running game. And then all of a sudden, Lamar Jackson can pass. It's like, holy shit. He throws for 36 touchdowns, 3,125 yards for the passer rating of 113.3. And it's not like he was throwing. And I love it because you look at Lamar Jackson in 2019. Who was he throwing to? He had the tight end. And did he throw to in tight? Was it Mark Andrews? He didn't. It's like, who was his biggest targets? I think Marquez Brown, Hollywood Brown was still there. Mark Andrews, I think that was his first season. Willie Snead. I remember Willie Snead. I believe Mark Ingram, the former running back, was there as well. I think the guy Hurst. I can't remember Hurst's first name. So outside of Andrews and Marquez Brown, Hollywood Brown is a good wide receiver. Was a good wide receiver, but he was not proficient at catching the ball. He was a speedster. And that's the thing that cracks me up if you think about it. When you have a quarterback that you perceive to be not a deep ball threat, and you have two players such as Willie Snead and Marquez Brown, that's a mind fuck to teams. And that's what I'm thinking. You have to look at that. You have to look at this, and you have to look at the philosophy of John Harbaugh and say, listen, Big John, what are you going to do with Jaxson Dart? The team is all the league knows everything. The league knows everything right now about Jaxson Dart. What are you going to do? And you're right, Greg. He's never, and I always love with Giant fans. Well, he never had a true number one. Well, Mark Andrews was the true number one tight end. But no, he never had. Lamar Jackson's never had this. I mean, Flacco had Anquan Bolden during the Super Bowl season, so he had true number ones. But Lamar Jackson never did. Lamar Jackson did this by an offensive philosophy. And this offensive philosophy was brought together by John Harbaugh. So going back through an 18-year history, this is going back to an 18-year history of what he's done. He went from a run-centric Joe Flacco to a total pendulum shift in week 14 of their Super Bowl season, where they go no huddle, up tempo, and Big Joe throws for 11 touchdowns and no interceptions in the playoffs and becomes a passing team, to having a stationary quarterback and then drafting up to get Lamar Jackson, making him run centric his first year. Then in 19, suckering people in with the run, and then throwing for 3,000 yards and 36 touchdowns while you rush for 1,200 yards. He's done the pendulum. So now you take a look at a kid that has certain abilities in reference to Jaxson Dart, and you say, okay, what can and we're going to get to the chat. What can John Harbaugh do? What can John Harbaugh do that will make Jaxson Dart proficient? One of the things you cannot take away from Jaxson Dart is his ability to improvise. Now, there is a difference between what Lamar Jackson does and what Jaxson Dart does. Lamar Jackson was almost like Magic Johnson. He could improvise, but he did it within a mindset, and he took a lot of it upon himself. Jaxson Dart is not going to be able to carry a team like Lamar Jackson can. Jaxson Dart, to me, is like Knick fans, early Mark Jackson. Early St. John's, Knicks, Mark Jackson, season 2 of Mark Jackson, where when he made the Pro Bowl, made people around, was not always the greatest talent in the league at point guard, but made everyone around him better on those Knicks teams. And that's what I think that you have to do if you're Jaxson Dart. You have to make people around you better. You have to lead your wide receivers. You have to trust your offensive line. Because like I said, too many times he bailed out with the Giants, and he bailed out. And like I said, that was one of the things that scouts didn't like about him coming out of college was he if the pocket got muddy, he would run. I'm not saying he's running because he's scared. I'm just saying I think he's running out of necessity. And I think this kid is smart enough to understand, listen, if the league in my second year has film and they see and think that I'm going to take off, I stay in the pocket. I become that guy that has this understanding, and I become the leader, and I keep looking downfield. Because you need to remember, and I think Jackson's got to understand this, and this is why he doesn't slide sometimes. You don't win the game with 6 minutes left in the first quarter by diving head first to get a first down. That does not win you the game. That extra yard that is probably going to put you in concussion protocol is not going to win you the game. Not every single play in the NFL. They always say in the NFL, you have to fight to live another down, to play another down. And that's what he's going to have to figure out. He's going to have to figure out you're not winning the game with 1:48 in the first quarter to get a third. Instead of being at 3rd and 6, you got 3rd and 2. There's no extra value in that. And that's what you got to look at. And then once you figure out that you can make Jaxson Dart into a consistent passing option and consistently have the ability to hit passes beyond 10 yards, and you have this understanding with teams that, okay, because then it turns into a mind fuck in year 2. You're the defense coordinator over in Washington. All of a sudden, can't hear me. Did I lose audio? Hello? My audio is still here. Does anyone else have a hearing problem? Testing. 1, 2, 3, testing. You good? Okay. All right. Thanks. All right. I was like, my soundboard's up. The cables didn't move. We're good. But now, like I said before, you're the offensive coordinator of the Washington team. It's a mind fuck now because of the fact that you're going to creep thinking this guy is going to run, and all of a sudden he is consistently making plays downfield beyond 10 yards. And I think that's 100% teachable. I don't think that's something that you look at and say, well, we can't, the Giants as an organization cannot teach Jaxson Dart that. I think you can teach a quarterback with talent who has the ability to, it's going to take some time with the mechanics. It's going to take some time with the footwork. Make sure you're hitting the like button because we only have 29 likes. It's going to take some time to go. You can do this during the off season. You can do this in the OTAs, but you're going to have to be consistent with making him more of a passer. More of a true passer, and not a guy that you worry about. Okay, he's going to scramble, and is his passing percentage going to go down when he scrambles to the left or to the right? But it's a guy that if you consistently keep him and have the ability to allow him to play from the pocket and teach him how to play. Like I said, the Eagles figured it out. Brian Flores figured it out, how to stop Jaxson Dart. It was simple. You contain him in the pocket. That second Eagle game, I remember watching it after doing the stream going, oh, we are so fucked. Because they figured it wasn't difficult to figure out. And I've been saying it for a couple weeks. You just consistently keep the kid in the pocket. Don't allow it. You don't have to sack him. You don't have to stop him from running for a couple yards, but you keep him in a confined area because he seems to panic. Like he doesn't know what to do. Well, this is what you do. You teach him how to throw the ball downfield. Brian Flores gave a master class in this. In that Minnesota, literally a fucking masterclass. And I love it because it's like, well, they've changed it so the Kafka and them did it so he couldn't run. They were taking away his creativity and ability. No, the Giants offense did not take away his ability to run. The Giant offense did not take away his ability to scramble. It was the defense of Brian Flores that said, listen, I'm good. And I loved it because I was texting James Williams that day. And I kept screaming to the James, they're giving him the fucking middle of the field. They are basically giving Jaxson Dart the middle of the field, and he's not taking it. And that's where you hope Harbaugh comes in and says, okay, listen. And I love it because all of a sudden they're like, well, scrambling ability is back. Well, you also saw a big drop in talent level against some of the teams they were playing. So you got to count that in consideration. But when teams give you the middle of the field and you don't take it, that's a problem. So if we take a look at what's going on here and we take a look at what John Harbaugh has done with kind of like a 2-time renaissance with Joe Flacco and in a total he totally improvised on creating a player such as Lamar Jackson and playing to his talents. You have to believe that John looked at the tape and said, okay, listen. And like I said, I don't know what the philosophy is going to be. I really don't for Jaxson Dart. Because like I said, they run this semi West Coast offense where, like I said, we've shown the charts ad nauseum, and these are only 4 games. So we've shown them ad nauseum. As you can see, you're running everything under 10. Everything you see, the majority of his plays are under 10. And then when he goes out above, all the whites are incompletions. So you see all the greens within the 10-yard line. That's where we're running. But all the whites, everything out there, like I said, that's white is an incompletion. You can see this. This is not hard. This game right here, he completed 1 pass over 10 yards. He was 1 for 7 over 10. You don't think defense coordinators have figured that out? And a lot of these problems is the fact that he misses these plays because he's not in the pocket. And we've shown this play ad nauseum, but I'm going to show it again because I do think it's important. This is how you throw your star wide receiver into what we like to refer to as a hospital ball. You have a free play. You're in the pocket. You throw it. Instead of throwing it 5 yards in front of the wide receiver, you throw it 5 yards short where he has to adjust and come back to the ball and tears his knee midair trying to make a spectacular play. You put that ball 3 to 5 yards ahead of Malik Neighbors, it's either a touchdown or you just an incompletion on the outside on the sidelines. Malik Neighbors is still playing. Back in the day, we would refer to that as a hospital ball. And he did the same thing to Cam Scatterbo. You throw the ball to the inside of Cam Scatterbo against that play in Philadelphia, instead of the outside, instead of behind him, you throw it to his inside. He's either going to catch it or he's not, but he's going to be going a different direction, not trying to contort his body back and twist. And it wasn't a hip drop tackle, but then if he wouldn't have gone back for the ball, he probably wouldn't have gotten hurt. That's honesty. And that's what we refer to as poor ball placement. So what we need to do, and I'm not saying a lot of this shit is not fixable, because this is why you're bringing in a head coach with the pedigree of John Harbaugh, who has worked with two totally different quarterbacks. And so that's why I feel that with the bringing in a Harbaugh, whoever the offense coordinator is going to be, you are going to see, and I can't say it's a renaissance because it's only in season 2. I think you're going to see a different quarterback in Jaxson Dart than you saw year 1. It may not be to what some of the fans like, but you only won 4 fucking games, and you've won 3 games in 13 years. It's going to be something. Hopefully it's going to be different. You're not going to stifle his creativity, but you are going to teach him to play from within the pocket and have the ability to make plays consistently downfield that is then going to lure in the defense, which is then going to open the run game, which is then going to revolutionize the Giants offense because we will probably be more consistent and score more points. Boom. Science. Hit that like button. Never seen you live this often. This is amazing. Yeah, I know, but I got a lot to talk about. Now that there's good things to talk about, Mr. Rodriguez, now there's good things to chat about. It's a lot more, it's easier to break shit down. Now we actually have a thought process in regards to a head coach. We see good hires in reference so far to the defense coordinator and a special teams coach. It's exciting now to be a Giant fan because it's an understanding now that you have the potential to, you don't have the potential. You brought in a guy that has been known to develop quarterbacks and players, not just quarterbacks. You brought in a guy in Denard Wilson, if you take a look at his track record, who has had an ability to turn around the careers of corners and make other corners better. Boom. Science. Dylan says, I think people got to understand that while Dart didn't develop much during the season, he can he can lock into the new coaches and develop a ton. I think he can. Dylan, I actually 100%, I think Dylan's got 1,000% right. You really did not see a growth progression from Jaxson Dart. And like I said, Dable and Kafka did the kid a disservice. Because you know what? There are plenty of quarterbacks in this league that were successful early because they ran their college offense. I always go back to Rick Meyer in Seattle. Rick Meyer, the golden boy out of Notre Dame, went to Seattle, had what they referred to as a good season in the early 90s, what would be considered a good rookie season. They were all excited. They were pumped up. They figured they got their new quarterback after Jim Zorn and Steve DeBerg and all this. And then the league figured out the kid couldn't throw left. Literally, he couldn't throw left. So what did they do? They flooded the right side of the field and made him throw left. And then he bounced around and ended up with the Jets and a whole bunch of other teams. And he was out of the league after being a career backup. And Seattle's big thought process was, well, we'll run the same offense that he ran in Notre Dame. That only works so long. And then once it's over, that's what the crazy thing is. Trueball says, facts that I'm trying to keep up with the streams now that you're coming on so frequently, I got to go back and finish the last 2 episodes. All right, fine. Well, for Trueballs, we're just going to stop. Stream's over. No, I'm just kidding. What about the shorts? I had a really good short yesterday. But I want to get to the chat a little bit here because I want to hear what everyone thinks of what I'm talking about here. Brandon says, Tim, I'm surprised that you have like I said, I have not changed my heart about Jaxson Dart. I still think Jaxson Dart's got a shit ton of problems in reference to being an NFL quarterback. I changed my mindset on what he can be because of John Harbaugh and what he has done throughout his career. We got to that Zag Attack one. Big Greg in the house. If Dart can progress into a more dynamic version of Purdy, I'd be really happy. I actually think Jaxson Dart has a higher upside than Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy is what you see with Brock Purdy right now is what you're going to get. I don't think there's another level to Brock Purdy. And there's nothing wrong with that because, like I said, he's gotten his teams to the playoffs. He's shown this capability. He's thrown for over 4,000 yards. In the second season, 31 touchdowns. But I don't think there's a next level for Brock Purdy. I do think there's a next level for Jaxson Dart. Dart-Harbaugh could be we got to that one. We already did that one. Mr. Alvarez says, hey, Tim, I'd pass on Reese because supposedly teams will be moving him to the edge and don't want another edge. I want a wide receiver. Dark horse pick is, I actually, you know what? I think there is this at 6'3", 245. I think there is this mindset to try to move him to the edge. But I think, like I said, if you go back to the Giants' history, there are 86 linebackers. 1986 average. This was in 86 average like 6'4", 250 pounds. So you can still have a guy that size playing the outside linebacker. I think it's a disservice to move this kid outside the outside linebacker part. Zach Attack says Cam Scatterboo can be the number one running back to help Dart. I personally think Scatterboo is a number 2. I do think Scatterboo is number 2 as well. The undisputed heavyweight champ says, whoa. Big Mike Lee says, in my opinion, Scat and Tracy are not there. I don't think either one of them are workhorse backs. And I think you do have to find yourself a bell cow back. But I think both of them can be serviceable in what they need to do. Yeah, to this point, I don't think they need to be. I think you could. I don't think you need to be at all. You're right. Greg says, if you watch Ole Miss, they ran the same offense Dable was running. You're right. 2 snarky fucks, Stefanski and Shane. No, thank you. It's like when Ryan Conley came here for a couple games and was so outstanding in James Betcher's defense. Everyone was like, oh my God, it's like he's been playing this defense for years. Well, the problem was because James Betcher ran the same style of defense that they did in Wisconsin, which was where Ryan Conley was from. Mr. Esquire says, hey, Tim, let's see here. The geniuses motion defense offense quarter go into the Giants at 5. Thoughts? No, I don't see it. I'm not taking any corner on this draft at 5. I do not see a Darrelle Revis at 5. Let's see here. Jaxson Dart completed roughly 50% more deep ball passes, excluding on the right side of the hash to the left side of the field. His senior year, 24. Most of them are the right side of the middle of the field. We've actually talked about that at a couple times. Big James William in the house says, Mr. Perry says, can you imagine if Eli panicked after his first read wouldn't have been the Tyree and Manningham catches the ball in the Super Bowl? You knew something was special. Eli Manning's first game against the Eagles, and Jeremiah Trotter almost buried him, because that type of hit that Jeremiah Trotter gave Eli Manning, you literally thought they killed. I remember he gets in his first live action or a second series. Jeremiah Trotter put him to the deck, and most people would have thought, oh Jesus, I think they just killed our number 1 pick. That's when I knew he was special. Strong side, baby, always strong side. Big Greg says, some of our fandom is crowning Dart king already. Let's pump the brakes, people. You got to pump the brakes. He's got to learn. Jaxson Dart's got a lot to learn because, like I said, I do think Dable and Kafka did him a disservice. It's like we're going to save his job. We're going to save this guy's job or their jobs by just running a college offense, getting some garbage wins, and not doing basically doing a disservice to this kid. Sorry, texting the wife. Just love stuff. James Williams says, salute to the chat. Big Greg says, some of the fandom, we already got to that one. Mike Lee says, if Wayne gets big money contract, it would be Wandell, I think you meant. Proof that we haven't learned a damn thing. It's true. If you give Wandell Robinson a big money contract, but I'm not worried about it because I think that, and like I said, for the people that says, well, he's going to be Steve Smith Sr. like he was the 3 years over in Baltimore. Totally different players. Totally different players. But that's all right. Big James in the building. Dylan says, not saying Dart doesn't have the things he needs to figure it out because he's 100% does. Kafka and Dable and Kafka didn't develop Dart one bit. More focused on losing their jobs and developing a cornerstone piece. That is 100% accurate. And like I said, I don't blame Jaxson Dart for a lot of the shit that he did because I don't think he was being taught by the coaching staff. I mean, I think he was being taught, but I don't think that I don't think that when the league started adjusting after that Eagle game, I don't think they sat there and said, okay, we're going to do this now. Now that they figured this is what I don't think they did that. And I think that was a huge disservice to Jaxson Dart. And you got to think about the poor kid, because it's like, listen, he's coming into the league, he's learning, he's a good kid. No one ever says anything bad about him. But when your coaches don't hit the like button, hit the fucking like button, people. Hit the like button. I have to laugh. There was that quote. I always talk about college measuring, because when I was in college, I'm a little over 6 feet. So when I was in college, I was 6'3", 235. And I love it though, because there's that quarterback that they just measured, and in college he was 6'1". It was 6'1", 228. The kid that was up for the Heisman. And then they measured him just recently. He's like 5'8". Yeah, try to explain to people, you go to college, you don't know how to measure shit. All of a sudden, measuring goes out the fucking window. My friend says Dart is the next Caleb. No, two different players. This is how you break down quarterback play. Kudos to Tim. Thank you very much. Robin Crown said, how do you feel about John not making it to the dance with a generational talent like Dart, or like Lamar Jackson? What should the Giants fans expect him to do with Jaxson Dart? You know what I'm going to tell you? And I've said this before. How many, Robin, I brought this up a million times, and it's not a disservice to Lamar Jackson, but how many running quarterbacks in NFL history has won the Super Bowl? How many quarterbacks that are more known for proficiency at running, like a Michael Vick? Now, Steve Young, people always throw out Steve Young, but Steve Young was an extremely proficient passer who consistently could throw the left-hander and screwed everything up, but could consistently throw the ball down the field. How many times have a true scrambling quarterback gone to the Super Bowl? You just don't win with those you just don't win the big dance with those types of players. That's why I'm saying Jaxson Dart can be something totally different. And I think you can kind of have a mix between Falco. I'm always going to say Shane Falco, Flacco, and Lamar. You can kind of combine. You could. It's morphin' time. You can morph these guys to get into a situation where they're kind of both the same together. No, Lamar never had a true number one. Kevin says, I no longer have any expectations for this team. I don't either. I just, like I said, if we win 6 games, I think we're great. Mark Jackson was a smart point guard. He was. Mike Lee says, isn't that what a leader does? Make the people around him better. 100%. That's exactly what a leader does. A leader makes the people around him better. And that's what we see with Jackson. That's what I see, hopefully, with Jaxson Dart. Dylan says, exactly, Tim. That's the key. Dart is smart enough. Question remains, can he put it together at game speed when it matters? Game speed is so important. And I always love these content creators who never played. Never played the game. Never played the game at a high school level, college level, anything. And never worked in the pros, never done anything. And they talk about game speed. You don't know shit. They really don't. And they try to be these bastions of knowledge and reference this. You know shit. Because you don't know how the game slows down and how it speeds up between levels. That's 100% right. And there is a point in your career, both in high school, college, and the pros, where the game all of a sudden slows down. Where before, when you first come out in the field, everything is so fast. Everything is so different. Plays that you made in high school and college, you could see like you're seeing one step ahead. And then all of a sudden you get to the next level, and now what looked like it used to take like 10 seconds is now taking a second and a half, because the difference of caliber of talent that you're playing against just gets so much better. And Jaxson Dart, at times when he was scrambling, is because of the fact that the game had not slowed down for him. And that's what you need to see. You need to see Jaxson Dart. And this is where it happens when you keep him in the pocket. I'm not saying do what a Mike Vrabel did with Malik Willis and say, Malik Willis, you're not allowed to run. The one thing that made you special at Liberty was your ability to escape the pocket and run. Well, you can't do that. You got to stay in the pocket. I'm not saying that. I'm saying just teach the kid. Don't hit the eject button so quickly. Allow players to get downfield through their routes without you scrambling. And when the pocket gets a little bit muddy, move in the pocket instead of out of the pocket. That's my thought process. We are going to need to help Jaxson Dart with dare I say a top. I think you can have a good running game. I do think if you have a good above average running game, you're gonna be fine. Let's see. Big Greg says, with the Giants, I'm optimistic, but we still have major holes as a kicker, secondary, linebacker, even running back. Don't forget tight end. I like how Scat plays, but he's not a true number one back. You're right. What's up, Big? What's me, Greg? Why don't you think that Burns, Carter, and Thibodeau can defend against the run? What do the stats say? I'm glad you're staying here, by the way. It's easy. It's you know what I'm thank you for. I'm going to tell you why I don't think this, because the last 5 years the Giants have been giving up the most, if not second or third most yards against the run in the NFL. And it's not difficult to figure. I love with Abdul Carter. Everyone was like, Abdul Carter teams are just going to get away from him. They're going to just run away from him. No, they ran right at him. Ran right at his ass. Because you want to know the easiest way to negate somebody's speed, the easiest way to negate someone's quickness? Run right at him. And then when you have defensive ends who are undersized, like Burns, Thibodeau, and Carter, the easiest thing to do is run right at them because they know none of them have the ability to set the edge. Giants in 2011 had 2 defensive ends that had 80 tackles apiece. One of them was Matthias Kiwanuka, and I believe it was Matthias Kiwanuka, and I want to say Justin Tuck was the other one. I don't remember. But they had 2 defensive ends with 80 plus tackles because they knew how to set the edge and play the run and push the play back into the middle of the field. Our guys can't do that. The league has figured that out for the last 4 years. Well, just run right at them. They can't set the edge. How many times have we seen teams go off tackle left, off tackle left, off tackle right, off tackle left, up the middle, over the top? We've said that on this channel. I don't know how many times. What's up, BCK? What's going on? Nope, all good. Just those who don't want to hear what you have to say, which is fine. You know what? You don't, and that's the point. You don't have to listen to what I'm going to say. I love when people are like, well, we love you now because you've changed. No, I haven't changed. I haven't changed at all. The Giants have changed. James, are you out there? I'm going to put the link in the chat if you're out there. I want to talk to you about Joe Brady. I'll put the link in the chat. I didn't change at all. The Giants are the ones that have changed, not me. The Giants have started to do things correctly. What's that fucking about? I hear you. I know you hear you, but can you hear what I feel like Rod too on that. Could you hear what I'm saying? Do you hear what I'm saying? Robin also says you can also get the tight ends involved more in the game plan. Give them a security blanket. You can, Robin, but I do not like our tight ends. I'm not a Theo Johnson fan. Dame Bellinger's probably going to be gone. But yes, if you give him a Mark Andrews-esque tight end, that's why I like Likely out of Baltimore. Isaiah Likely kind of reminds me of Darren Waller in the respect of you are not getting a blocking tight end. You're not getting an Evan Ingram, but you're not getting a blocking tight end, but you are getting a pass-catching tight end who has been stuck behind Mark Andrews for years. And like I said, it reminds me of Antonio Pierce's last year in Washington, where he showed progressions towards the end of the season, and the Giants signed him as a free agent because they thought they saw something special in him. I'm telling you, man, you get Linderbaum, you get Likely, you draft Fano, you pick up a wide receiver, get yourself another running back. You're in business offensively. Andrew Thomas healthy. You're in business. Because then you have Fano, also known as Bono, next to Linderbaum, Andrew Thomas. You figure out your guard situation. You get yourself a tight end like Likely, who can be that security blanket, who can be a consistent pass catcher. You're still going to need a blocking tight end, which is fine. You can find one of those. And then you get Malik Neighbors back. You're still going to have Darius Slayton on the other side. And one thing that Darius Slayton is good at is splitting the defenders. Motherfucker can't catch the ball. Still love it to this day. People are like, we need to re-sign Darius Slayton. I was like, why? And then we said, oh, that's such a good deal. 3 years, 36. What a deal. It's like, why? Now he went back and said, does anyone remember years ago the Tampa game? Does anyone remember that this motherfucker drops the ball all the time? But right now, if you're going to have him pair him alongside Malik Neighbors, use him to split the field, pull the double team. That's the other thing. You get someone like Likely, you can pull the double team away from Malik Neighbors. You teach your quarterback to be proficient and efficient in the pocket. You got something special on offense. I don't think Reese is going to be there at 5. Also, I think he's going to be gone at 3. I do believe that as well. Who keeps texting me? Why are people texting me? Don't text me. Cleveland is so hard that you understand why the hitch keeps trying. You got Jerry Judy. You should. Dom, I'm streaming. People are texting me when I'm trying to stream. Jesus Christ, streaming, brother. And texting back. Where do you go, my lovely? I want to know. Let's see here. What do we got here? I've never seen you live so often. Absolutely did him a Brian, here's another reason why Joe Shane should be fucking fired. Here's another. I got a twitch in my arm. I had to go out and shovel snow and get. So now my elbow. I have something wrong with my elbow. The same elbow that I broke. I got something wrong with it. This is another reason Joe Shane should be fired. If you could not see, and I said this during the season, if you can't see that they're just trying to save their jobs by saying, look, we're trying to develop this kid, and they're doing everything that they can to have him comfortable by running the college. And they talked about it, that we're running plays that he's comfortable running for back in Ole Miss. Okay, but you're not teaching him how to be an NFL quarterback. And if you're the fucking general manager, you should be like, motherfucker, listen, Baldy. Teach this kid how to be an NFL quarterback. It's not that difficult. The shorts have been really nice. Well, I appreciate that. The shorts have been nice. Thomas Perez, what's up, brother? Any of the OCs want if Todd Monken goes to Cleveland? Right now, nobody wants the Cleveland job. If I was Todd Monken, I'd be like, listen, I'm going to go. You know what? If I'm Todd Monken, you know what I'm doing? You know what I'm doing if I'm Todd Monken? I'm hitting the like button. That's what I'm doing if I'm Todd Monken. But I'm also saying, fuck it. I'm going to go with Harbaugh to New York. I am going to make Jaxson Dart something special. And then I'm going to use that and propel myself like Kellen Moore did in Philadelphia, and be a coordinator for one more year and get a pick of a better job than the fucking Cleveland job. That's what I would do if I was Todd Monken. I love Cam. You can love Cam. It's all good. I just don't think he's an every down back. That's not a disservice to him. It doesn't mean anything bad. It just means I don't think he's a bell cow back. He's not John Riggins. He's not Derrick Henry. Cam Scatterbo was a guy that never rushed for 100 yards yet in the NFL, but somehow we've anointed him the next John Riggins. The NFL stands for not for very long. And that's why you need to make your career count. I just realized someone brought me up a membership. Thank you. Oh, that was probably Big Don. Big Don always brings up memberships. We're going to do a lot of stuff with the online Big Blue membership starting probably in February. And we are going to do an online Big Blue membership exclusive giveaway to the Coaches Club. So it's just going to, I think we have 100 something members now. So what we're going to do is we're going to do what we've always done. We always do like 2-3 games in the coaches club. We're going to take you behind the scenes like we always do. We've shown it before. This was our very first coaches club event. This was LJ, Dom, and Big El Gigante. And then we had 2 other people come in that game where we take you to the coaches club. We take you onto the field. You're on the sideline during the game. Then after the game, you head out and you get to, after the game, you get to head out and you get to walk around the field. So we get to chuck the ball around a little bit. Big Don, like I said, everybody loved it. So I think we're going to do an exclusive one for that, just for the OG members. And then we'll do, I think, 1 or 2 more games doing that during the season as well. So make sure you keep your membership up to date. I love the Giants Twitter soundboard button. Oh, you mean
Stupid Giant Twitter posts.
I don't have a Super Giant Twitter post today. Evidently, there probably is one. But we don't have that. Fran Tarkenton made it there, but lost 4 times. Patrick Mahomes is a passing quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is not anywhere near Lamar Jackson. Rob says, I agree with you. You can morph the 2 quarterbacks. Remember Flacco? I'm going to say Flacco. Had a can of an arm, which Dart does not. Yes, but Lamar Jackson has a good arm. Doesn't have a great arm. He's got a good arm. And you need an NFL average arm. Chad Pennington, to me, had a well below average NFL arm, and then his elbow got fucked up. And then when he was in Miami, he had below average NFL arm. If you can make average plays, just average NFL plays, what they refer to as, the standard NFL plays, you're going to be fine. And I think Jaxson Dart can do that. I'm stuck. Are we winning 3 until I see a higher number than we're going to win at least 6 games? These athletic quarterbacks need to develop their knowledge more and use the speed and athleticism as a sneaky trait to extend the drive. Use it at your X factor as much so the entirety of your game. That's a great point. NFL like Madden has the X factor. That's the thing. Your X factor cannot be used consistently through the game. It has to be used at the right moment. AC can't play disciplined football. AC. Who's AC? Oh, Abdul Carter. Yeah, Abdul Carter. Yeah, like I said, and it's going to get uglier. I've said this before, and we had Jerry Oslowski on, the 10-year veteran of the Buffalo Bills, offensive lineman, big Penn State fan. We had him on before the draft, and he said the same thing. Would you put Abdul Carter linebacker? It's like, no. He was like, neither would I. Because he's going to get exposed, because he got exposed 2 years as an off-the-ball linebacker at Penn State. And if you don't have that discipline in regards to maintaining your lanes, and it's also just the fact you have to maintain your rush lane. And I loved it because the first time we had Carl Banks on, he said you have to earn the right to rush the passer. And I always thought that was a great line, because he's 100% right, because I've heard that before, that you have to earn the right to rush the passer. And the way you earn that right is to play the run. And a lot of these players outside of Brian Burns have not earned the right to rush the passer. Yeah, he got knocked. He got shot put by the 3rd string tight end by the Jets. What's up, Slider? Yeah, man, gotta love content creators that think playing that doesn't matter when analyzing, and the media eats it up because none of them played ball. It's ridiculous, really huge shit show. Yeah. Oh, it was Matthias Kiwanukentuck. Thank you. That's what I don't get. You have other content creators that are tennis players. How the fuck are you talking about the sport? How the fuck am I going to listen to you? Maybe if I'm listening to you go, well, my backhand's like this, and I'm not bending my elbow with my backhand. How am I going to listen to you about proper tackling technique or having the ability to flow to the ball, through traffic as a middle linebacker, or what it feels like to get a snot bubbler, to get hit so hard that snot just bubbles out of your nose? And I've told people before, most people don't realize this, that when you are the one that is hitting, if you do it right, it's a beautiful thing, but at times it still fucking hurts. You lay some wood on somebody, you sometimes get up and your adrenaline's pumping, then you running back to the sidelines like, wow, that fucking hurt. I always go to Brian Bosworth, the Boz. After his third season in Seattle, he has to retire because he has arthritic shoulders that the doctor says belong to a 60-year-old. And then I got to listen to people on different streams and shit that never played the game, never done anything, and sit there and tell me about these things. And it's like, how do you know? I can watch brain surgery on TV, but it doesn't mean I'm going to go into the OR and say, you know what? That looks like a subdural hematoma. I think I can fix that. You know, give me the 42 blade. No, I'm sorry. I don't know. It's just me though. That's just what I think. Yep, I was right. Kiwanuka and Tuck, they were 80 plus tackles. Even Osi Umenyiora was a pass rusher who could play. Osi Umenyiora, Matthias Kiwanuka, Justin Tuck, Michael Strahan. Michael Strahan started out as a run-stuffing defensive end. All those guys could play the run. They were proficient at leading the point of attack, which gave them more solo tackles and assists. We've said this before. We said that with Big Tay Crowder's big. When Tay Crowder had 140 tackles and he laid out Derrick Henry. Oh, my God. And I looked at everyone and said, how many solo tackles does Tay Crowder have that season? And it turned out he had like 40. If you have 40 solos and the rest are assists, that means you're not leading the point of attack. You are getting what they refer to as a pylon stat. What's your opinion on Deonte Banks out of the Harbaugh's the HC? Do you think Banks had a good first season because he played the way he knows how to play? He played the way he knew how to play at Maryland. He was the perfect fit to the Wink system. Same thing with James Fletcher and Ryan O'Conley. Ryan Conley played the same system at Wisconsin, came in, adapted to it to Betcher's defense, was wonderful for a couple of games, and then got hurt. Deonte Banks is a press cover corner who has tendencies to get a little handsy, not as bad as Eli Apple, but he gets a chance to get a little bit handsy, but he's a guy that can jam up into the wide receiver, get into his face, has the fluidity of the hips that he can turn his hips in motion and run. The problem is you brought someone in like Shane Bowen, and Shane Bowen defense, if you could look back at all his times in Tennessee, we've talked about it, is a guy that likes to rush forward and barely rush, blitz 25% and play this bend not break zone style defense, which is not Deonte Banks' thing. And it looks like to me, it points Deonte Banks, especially in that second season, just lost fucking interest because I'm playing the system I'm not meant to play. Same with Paulson Adebo. Why do you go outside and get a Paulson Adebo when he's a press cover man corner and put him in a Shane Bowen system and give him 54-36 guarantee coming off an injury? What was it? Asante Samuels Jr., who ended up on Pittsburgh? He made more sense coming to the Giants than Paulson Adebo because Asante Samuels Jr. is a zone style corner who would have fit perfectly in the Bowen system. Again, we were trying to take square pegs and jam them into round holes. I think, and we went over get rid of or keep players the other day. And one of the players that I keep is Deonte Banks. Because I hope Denard Wilson's going to come in here and give this kid his confidence back and run a system that fits his players and not try to fit his players into a system like Shane Bowen did. And one of the things that we talked about it in the short, one of the things I loved about Denard Wilson in Tennessee when he first got there is it was training camp and it was the second week. And players asked, were interviewed and said, well, what do you think of Denard Wilson? And they are all like, we love him. He's a player's coach. We love him. And they say, well, what do you love about him? And he goes, well, and the gun guy goes, well, when we do something wrong, we work on it till we fix it. And the guy was looking at him like, okay, what does that mean? And the guy's like, well, and he didn't say Shane Bowen, which he should have. He goes, our previous defensive coordinator, if we couldn't do something or we did something wrong, we just stopped doing that. We didn't fix it. We just stopped doing it. There's a difference between showing someone how to do something and teaching someone how to do something. And I think Denard Wilson's going to come in here and teach Deonte Banks how to be a player again. Because I don't want to be a player no more. I just crush a lot. When can we play disciplined football? I think we're going to start playing disciplined football again. Justin Tuck would chase people down. So many little nuances of the game are picking up through playing at a high levels that you simply cannot get if you haven't stepped on the field. It's not even a high level. You could play in high school. I respect a lot of people that play like 4 years in high school because you played. You know what it's like. You know the pain. You know the pain. I think Joe Brady was a great hire. I said early on the process before the Bills were in the playoffs that if I were the Giants, you're looking for the next Ben Johnson. I think it's Joe Brady. I think he is a no-brainer for that team. Slider says, do you understand the words that are coming out of your mouth? Oh, my God. Perry says, I remember Justin Tuck ran down with Damian Thompson all the way on the side of the field. They did. Mr. Rodriguez says, would you give Wan'Dale and Darius Slayton a Darius Slayton contract? Ooh. Let's see. If I have 54 likes, I will answer that question. I have 52 likes. I'm sorry, I'm not answering that question. That question will now be moved on to another realm because I'm going to answer it because I only have 52 likes. No. 3 years, 36, and no. Listen, Wan'Dale Robinson is replaceable. Wan'Dale Robinson's production technically dropped when Malik Neighbors went out. Wan'Dale Robinson had 400 yards in 3 games and 600 yards in 13, where he averaged 48.6 yards a game outside of those 3. Wan'Dale Robinson does not give you touchdowns. Wan'Dale Robinson is not a target downfield. Wan'Dale Robinson, if you look outside of his 142, 156, and 113, his games are 55, 26, 14, 30, 84, 48, 46, 62, 36, 34, 54, 19. They threw it to him at a necessity and in bunches. And I don't want to hear you had a rookie quarterback because Wan'Dale Robinson, when he didn't have a rookie quarterback, did the exact same thing. It was Mr. Greg, it is a horrible sign. Couldn't catch a freaking cold. Brandon says Joe Shane would be gone by letting go of McKinney, Saquon, Love, and Williams. What a mind fuck it is that Tommy DeVito or Drew Lock are going to walk away in 2 weeks with a ring. One of them was going to have a ring. Either Drew Lock, and both of them fucked the Giants monumentally. I was there that overly warm game when our buddy Drew Lock decided to become an NFL quarterback against the Indianapolis Colts. And I always loved it because you kept hearing people and they're like, wow, this is what Drew Lock can do. It was also like, yeah, you are aware the Indianapolis Colts lead the league in missed tackles. And they had like 14 of them that game. Don't wake me up. I'm dreaming. Christopher Williams, don't text me. I'm streaming. Everyone texts me and calls me when I'm streaming. Everyone. It's like a fucking nightmare. Look at you multitasking. And I love it because I had I was doing a lot of stuff outside in the snow, and evidently I have missed 10 calls and I have 272 text messages. And that was in the last 3 hours. Should the Giants sign Ellie Moore Fudd? I think Ellie Moore Fudd is a good player. I think he is a little bit of a mercenary because he dumped the Cardinals for $3.5 million more to come to the Giants, and they knew both situations were going to suck. So I think he's going to go where the money takes him. Mr. Rodriguez says, but Tim, the Browns have a Pro Bowl quarterback. That's funny. Shedeur Sanders. So does that mean Shedeur Sanders is better than Jaxson Dart? Just wondering that. I thought they hired a guy for the Cleveland. No, unless I don't know. I don't think they have. Tryst for you, Giants among men. I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Dart reminds me a lot of Alex Smith. Don't ask me why. I don't think he reminds me of Alex Smith. I truly don't. Two different players. Alex Smith was more proficient in the pocket, but he never had that true escapability. Looking forward to that ring, Tim. Yours was sent out yesterday. Actually, I don't know if yours shipped yet. I think, hold on one second. I will check right now. Where do we go, my lovely? I know Mr. DeTruth was ordered for. I always love Mr. DeTruth. Mr. DeTruth. Oh, Mr. DeTruth ring shipped. Mr. DeTruth. I sent you a little. I sent you something special, Mr. DeTruth. Yours and your ring went out. UPS ground advantage. I don't know. Mr. DeTruth is there. Your ring, I think, goes out. Hold on. Slider, your ring looks like it's going out tomorrow. The snowstorm really fucked everything up. Mr. DeTruth's rings went out. Mr. DeTruth's ring went out first. His went out first. Tune in to the Pessimistic Giant Show. What's been pessimistic? What's been pessimistic, Craig? You want to explain it to me? You want to explain to me what's let's see. All schools 2-hour delay tomorrow. Jeez, Louise Marie. What's pessimistic? As James would say, anytime I sit up in the chair, I'm about to yell at somebody. And you know what, Craig? Well, I'm screening a call here. Your iPhone is asking the caller for their name and why they. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. I got one of these new iPhone doohickeys. And now it's scanning, asking the caller for their name and why they're calling. I like that. Motherfucker, why are you calling? Oh, it's a 2-hour delay. The school's got a 2-hour delay. Okay. Well, I figured that. Oh, Craig.
Get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Craig, I would normally be upset. I would normally blow up on you, tell you to fuck off, get a life, turn around and ask mama for.
Ma'am? Yes, hon. More Hot Pockets. Right away, hon.
For more Hot Pockets. But I've matured in my years here as a giant content creator. I've matured. I've gotten more mellow now. So people like Craig don't bother me. Because when you're a fucking moron who knows nothing about sports and probably can't even wipe your own ass, you really just need to go fuck off. And I looked in my pocket for you, Craig, and I found 0 fucks. Go take your piddly ass to the tennis players. Go take your piddly ass over to Chris, because just like I told Chris the entertainer before, dude, you need a blowjob. Craig, that's what you would need to do. But I'm not that person anymore. I'm a nice person. That would just be fucking wrong. So, Craig, fuck off. What do we got here? Let's see here. Juice says, what's up, Tim? I'm just so happy to hear the stream going live. I'm at work. All the talk about having an elite quarterback who won 2 Super Bowls with Eli Manning. He was average. Eli Manning was above average. I love Eli Manning. Not in the way that Craig loves his mother. But I love Eli Manning. But Eli Manning was above average quarterback. He was one of those guys. You know what Eli Manning reminds me of? And I was thinking about this yesterday. I don't know why I was thinking about Reggie Jackson yesterday. Eli Manning reminds me of Reggie Jackson. Reggie, if you actually take a look at the totality of his career, he had some good seasons, but everything he did truly that made him Mr. October, which is AKA the nickname Mr. October, was win in October. And that's what, to me, propelled him into, he still has 500 plus home runs, but it was the longevity. And Eli Manning did the same. Eli Manning deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. 2 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl MVPs get you into the Hall of Fame. 50,000 yards, 300 plus touchdowns, lead in the top 15 in every passing category in NFL history. The interceptions aren't as bad as people think if you compare them to the people that are in the Hall of Fame that have more interceptions than he does. Yeah. But he was above average quarterback who was great in the offseason. Dylan says, I'm spot on today, so that's all that matters. Dart needs to learn how to go through his progressions and work on his deep ball accuracy and javelin throwing shit ain't cool. 100%. Who's the biggest troll? I can't remember his name. He got banned. I don't ban people. I put people in timeout for 5 minutes. Richard Murphy. Richard Murphy is the biggest troll. Richard Murphy is a huge fucking troll. And I actually banned him completely from the channel. I usually don't do that. If you want to be a moron, I let you be a moron. But if you're going to be stupid and he was attacking guests and other things, then I don't abide by that. I pulled a tombstone. On his ass, and hell came with me. Let's be honest, Tim. I won't stop the rush quarterback thing. Said it before. Carl Banks came on. You're right. You did. Yes, I did like that video. Well, thank you. I don't remember which video we were talking about. Got to get Todd Monken. I think Todd Monken is perfect. I do think Todd Monken, like I said, if I'm Todd Monken, I turn around and I just say, listen, I'm gonna pull a Kellen Moore. I'm gonna go out there one more season, build my chops, turn Jaxson Dart into a quarterback, and then get a pick of a better job. That idiot probably leads with his shoulder and misses because he's not wrapping up, Tim. You're right. Omega Supreme, what's up, my brother? Tim, what do you think what do you think it'll take from 2006 for the Giants to come back in 2007? This is what I'm going to tell you. I said this, and you can go back and listen. And you know this, Omega. You've been on the show long enough. I said this the moment Daniel Jones signed this contract, that when it implodes, I didn't say if it implodes, when it implodes, the Giants will draft a quarterback in 25. You're going to put pieces around him in 26, and you're finally going to be playoff competitive. I didn't say make the playoffs, but you'll be playoff competitive in 27. I still think the same thing, but I do think the biggest issue you could potentially have is Joe Shane still. I like the fact they moved on from Kevin Abrams. I want to see what they do in reference to the scouting department, but we have to start. And Baltimore was good at this. Even Ozzie Newsome was really good at this. Baltimore takes a lot of players that are pro ready, that are ready to contribute immediately. They may not have the highest ceiling, but they're ready to be players. The Giants, for years going back to Gettleman, like to take prospects. Matt from Connecticut, he may be good. You may be a starter in 5 years. But the problem is we have to wait 4 years to get to that 5th year. Tired. Kevin said this Tim Steady hasn't changed his thought on Jaxson Dart, but has changed his mindset to the new incoming. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. I don't know why. If 5 is too high for Sonny. Yes, 5 is too high for Sonny Styles. Yes. But it would be awesome to have a big, competent linebacker. If you can't, I actually like Sonny Styles. But 5 is way too high for Sonny Styles. Way too high. You got to be in the low teens for Sonny. I don't have a problem if you trade out and grab a Sonny Styles. I don't mind that because we need linebackers. We need linebackers. We need to get. We're never going to be able to listen. We have the most money in 2026. We will have the most money spent on the defensive line. We will spend the most money in the league on our defensive line in reference to salary cap space. No way we're getting better at stopping the run with these players. But here's the thought process. You can get better at the second level. Blake Martinez was a master at this. Blake Martinez was a master at playing like 1 to 1.5 yards off the ball. And he could flow through the traffic. That's what you kind of need. You need a big mobile linebacker one on the inside, one on the outside that can flow in the second level, can play 1.5 yards off the ball and make the tackle before someone gets 5-6 yards deep. I think Sonny Styles could do that. Should have stayed at the Holiday Inn Express. Even Jason Pierre-Paul could stop the run. You're right, 100%. Jason Pierre-Paul before the firework accident. Of course, that's a good way to put it. Let's see here. That was the 4-3. Can you make it with the defense lineman to a 3-4? I need a good mic and secure the middle. I don't know how we play it. And I'm hoping when Denard Wilson comes in, again, he's going to look at the talent he has because he played a basic 3-4 in Tennessee. This is not a 3-4 team. Dexter Lawrence is not a true nose tackle. He is not a Dominican Sue. He's not an Aaron Donald. He's not a Jim Burt. He's not an Eric Howard. Hell, he's not even a Jerome Sally in reference to being a defensive tackle. And your two edges are undersized and can't stop the run. So I'm hoping that he looks at this and sees what the philosophy is. They always said Banks is open when Banks is in coverage. You're right. The bank is open when he's in coverage. Craig, that's what Tim stated earlier. I paraphrased it, by the way. I appreciate that. While Tim gives Shane Boyle credit for adjusting, but let's admit it gives him credit, but it was way too late when he adjusted. Dylan, Eli Apple. I remember how pissed I was when we took Eli Apple, man. I remember when we drafted Eli Apple, and I was like, why? I was like, this guy is so fucking handsy in college. He got away with it in college. And I think that's what gave him this, like, this moment of clarity. Like, well, I did in college. I can do it in the pros. And plus, Eli Apple's mom was a nut. Maybe Banks could have had Andrew Thomas, career archetype. Yeah, well, actually, yeah. I think so. Slider says, I remember Carl Banks talks about coaches and flexibility when listening to the players and coaches who are not. I agree. Douglas says, if anyone can make Dart a pro, it's John Harbaugh. That's the thing. And this is what I said in the very beginning. If you missed it, and if you did, go back and watch it when the stream's over. You had a guy that went from Joe Flacco to Lamar Jackson, two polar opposites of a quarterback. You had a head coach that went from a run-centric team in his Super Bowl season to firing Cam Cameron week 14, putting Jim Caldwell in, and going from a run-centric team built around Ray Rice to a no-huddle, pass-oriented offense with 2 weeks left in the season. And it rode you, and Flacco rides you to the Super Bowl with 11 touchdowns and no interceptions. This is the guy that it's the dichotomy of having the ability to adjust. And that's what I think we're going to find. Keyshawn, what's up? Keyshawn, the Bruce says, damn, I'm late. What's good, Tim? Everything's good, brother. As always. Where did Joe Brady go? Joe Brady is now the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. I'm not giving Wandale a contract either. Good way to put it, Mr. Wandale's empty calorie yards. You're right. I'm not paying a number 3 wide receiver, number 2 money. Dylan says, I have a feeling at least Adebo and Holland take. I think Holland shot. And we're stuck with him at least in the year. I think Holland shot. He did not show any progression after that serendipitous drop in Miami. People in the league will tell you they never have seen a safety in the last 30 years fall off the planet in regards to the level of play like Holland did that last year in Miami. And he didn't do himself any favor last year in New York. 64 likes. Hit the like button. Get us up to 100. I was considering varsity level. Should have worked it a little bit differently. It's all right. Williams was traded so we could feel that. That's the other thing people don't forget, right, Clee?
King of the almost sack.
Leonard Williams was traded because we couldn't field the 53-man roster. We couldn't sign a quarterback. We needed the salary cap space. He wasn't traded out of the well. We traded him because we're just trying to be nice and we wanted him to go to a winner. No, motherfucker. We wouldn't have traded him if he said no. You had no salary cap. You could not bring in a second quarterback because you had no money to sign one. That's why Leonard Williams was shipped off to Seattle. Ellie Moore Fudd was good. He needs to play better. Mr. Greg says, trust me, I live in Northeast Pennsylvania. I got hit with the snow. Oh, it fucking sucks, man. No school today. Now it's a 2-hour delay tomorrow. And then I think Friday, it's supposed to be a high of 19. And I'm supposed to go to the Knick game on Friday, but it's painfully cold out there. I don't like when it's cold. Let's see here. Skinner House is probably the new coach of the Cleveland Browns. That's pretty funny. Tim will always be Tim. Whoever said Tim changed, all of a sudden he changed. Dude, you don't know Tim very well. No, you don't. No, you don't. What's up? I caught a stream. That's better than catching a motherfucking cold. I'm glad you're here. Oh, my ears are all clogged now. Oh. I think I lost something down my one headphone. Tell me why ain't nothing but a heartache. Good to see you going live again, Tim. Well, I appreciate that. I love Eli. He reminds me of the all shucks kind of guy. Chris from 11 MMA says, Manning was an Iron Man, barely ever missed a game, and then when he did, he lost it because of Geno Smith. Petro says, hey, Tim, how you doing? Good, sir. I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain. He beat Brady twice, so you deserve a Hall of Fame just for that one alone. It's all facts, says Chris. Eli reminds me of Jeter. I'm going to say Reggie Jackson because Jeter was the monicum of consistency, not only at the plate, but at his position. He played one of the hardest positions in the entire world. It was a shortstop. And like I said, there's a reason why. And like I said, if you ever truly look at Reggie Jackson's stats during the season, yeah, it was more of he hit 500 home runs, but he also hit 500 home runs over 500 years. I know I'm joking, but and that kind of reminds a little bit of Eli Manning. But Johnny, but Eli is accurate. Let's see if Todd Munkins gets the Downs job. He won his OC. I don't know. Who are the Giants even interviewing? Have we even gotten any names or interviews, or are we just waiting for Munkin? Let's go to Twitter. Let's go to Twitter. Who's texting me now, motherfuckers? Motherfucker. Silver's up. I always love it because I always use the old joke. I'm heavily into trading into commodities at times as well. And my one broker calls me and goes, silver's down. And I said, well, call the fucking Lone Ranger. Maybe he can cheer him up. So, all right, where am I at here? Let's see here. Richard Murphy sent me here and said unblock him. That's pretty funny. Richard Murphy. No. You can never, once you get banned, you never get unbanned. Ever. And I always like these online tough guys. Because they always have these mouths. They always have these mouths. Always have these mouths on them. And they're always like this, this and this. And I always tell people, and this is going to be true again this year, because I'm going to be like F8. That's where I park. And that's where I've parked since 1976. F8. Usually right under the sign F8. You got something to say? Come see me. Nobody ever shows up. And then when someone does show up, they go, well, you're pretty nice in person. Pro ready. That's what we need. If this team is just competent and finishes games, I see 7 wins, more interior defensive line play, second linebacker improvement, put Newman in the box. We've been saying that since Tyler Newman got here. Make him a Logan Ryan. Make him a Peppers. Do what Patrick Graham did. Play 78% in the box on the line, towards the line of scrimmage. Make him that quasi linebacker. It makes more sense because the motherfucker doesn't get angles. We've said it a million times. I'm going to buy him a protractor so he can figure out angles. Every other team in the league in the NFL has dogs. We need a pack of wolves. I'll take dogs. I don't have to have wolves. You know, they always say it's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. And that's, to me, has always been so true. We definitely need an every down middle linebacker. I agree. Kevin says, so should the Giants look to draft a 3, 4, and maybe a 5th-year college player? No. What I mean by immediate talent, you could be a 2-year guy in college and have the immediate playability. The problem is the Giants don't look at immediate talent because they say, well, the ceiling's not as high. Matt from Connecticut. Matt Pert was from out of Connecticut, which made no sense to me. When they drafted him, I did a whole video about it and how it made no sense. It was like, well, he's going to be good in 5 years. He'll be a Pro Bowler in 5 years. Okay, but we need to win now. We can't wait for 5 years. And now he's playing somewhere else. 7 wins. I see 7 wins too, Dylan. I agree with you, Dylan. That's a sweet spot. 100%. You're 100% right. Let's see. If they dial up an off-script play, they are the ones that choreograph what time in Dart can be a dink and dunker. You're right. You're not wrong. Let's see. Dylan also says Dart's footwork needs to marry with the receivers and time up with him in efficiency. He needs to get on time with his receivers. Leak isn't great. Isn't going to deal with another season of this off timing bullshit. He needs to throw players open. He needs to create a throwing window. We've talked about this. He needs to learn ball placement. There is a time where you need to understand that you have to put the ball in only a place that the wide receiver can catch it. You have to throw with timing your wide receivers open. Yeah, another snowstorm is coming. I quit. Fucking quit. I already told the wife we're leaving. And she's like, well, we're going to sell the house. I'm like, no, we're not even going to sell the house. I'm abandoning the house. This is every man for themselves. I'm abandoning the motherfucking house and I'm going back to Miami. Fuck the house. It's like my theory on cars. My theory about cars are the windshield wiper fluid's out, you get a new car. Because it's broken. It snows too much, you leave to where it doesn't snow. I remember I showed it once on the stream years ago, and I don't remember what the picture is. The whole crew went out one night in Miami like we used to always do. And it was during a cold snap. And I think it was like 38 degrees on South Beach. And I love it because you looked at everyone and you would swear to God we were in Alaska. You look at the clothes, you wouldn't even think we were in Miami because we didn't know what to do. It was like 38, 40 degrees. We were all sitting around there like this. What do you do now? What do we carry around space heaters? Because it's cold. Oh, what do we got here? We're almost done streaming. I'm getting tired. Kubiak as OC if Monken takes the job. I can see that. That's not a bad one. That's not a bad one. True Baller says we have we had a in-between guy like that for a year ago, and he was disruptive in the middle. He used to block kicks too, came here from the Cardinals, I think. Oh, not Isaiah Simmons. Don't you dare say Isaiah Simmons. Isaiah Simmons was such garbage, he couldn't even start in the wink defense. He didn't know they wanted to make him a linebacker, and he's like, no, I want to play safety. I love it. I want to play safety. I don't want to play linebacker. It's like, motherfucker, you play where we tell you to go. Let's see. William Taggart, Robert Prince, and Todd Monken. That's it. I didn't know that. Marcus Golden. Abdul Carter is Marcus Golden. Abdul Carter is Bryce Huff. He's a situational pass rusher who can't play the run. And we took him at 3. I agree with you to know when to layer the ball where you throw. Iguanas were passing out. It was cold, man. Like I said, I've never been that cold in my life. I was like, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, what do we do now? And then it's like, I don't know, because at the club, like, well, do you want us to check your coat? We're like, no. I don't think buildings in Miami have fucking heaters. It's colder in the building than it was outside the building. Slider says, isn't it funny? Don't you think? It's like rain on your wedding day. It's a free ride when you're already paid. Isn't it funny? Don't you think? That Leonard Williams is going to the Super Bowl. Can't wait. Isn't Julian Love going to the Super Bowl? Good job, Joe. Yeah. We traded Leonard Williams because we didn't have enough money to sign a quarterback. We gave Julian Love a contract in season. He said no because he thought he was going to get more in free agency. We offered him like $10 million a year. And he said no because he figured he was going to get $10 million more afterwards when he hit free agency. Goes free agency, doesn't get the money. Comes back to Joe and says, I will play here for 2 years, $10 million. Half of what you were going to pay me. We still needed a safety. Joe said no. Giant fans said, don't worry. Giant content creators, I should say. Don't worry. We got Yusef Corker, the unrestricted free agent out of Kentucky. Yeah, he lasted, to the second cut? Hey, Tim, why the Buffalo Bills didn't hire Brian Daboll as head coach when they chose to hire Brady? Because Brian Daboll sucks. That was pretty easy to figure out. Brian Daboll is a shithead and should never have another head coaching job. Brian, he is Joe Bugle. Did I forget to put this in 4K? I'm paying for 4K. Why am I not streaming in 4K? Because then if I don't stream in 4K, it's only in 1080p. I'm already live. Man, I fucked up. I could have been in 4K. Because the Bills don't want to clown as head coach. The identity of the team, I was not worried about. The system and the scheme, I am worried about. We need players built for the century, not the old Giant way. Hasn't worked. I agree. What failed? It failed because the Bills didn't want to clown as the head coach. I forgot to put it in 4K. Damn it. I'm a little upset. All right. I don't think we're at 70 likes. I wanted 70 likes, but you know what? I don't care. Oh, shit. FanDuel. FanDuel.com, number one sportsbook in America. This show is brought to you by the mighty FanDuel. FanDuel.com. New customers bet $5. Get $200 in bonus bets if you win. We got the Super Bowl coming up, so make sure you go over to FanDuel. If we go to the sportsbook right now under the mighty FanDuel and we take a look at it, what are we looking at today with the NFL? It is still a 4.5-point line with the Patriots. Let's see. So let's see here. So, I would take the Patriot. I would take this Patriots in the points. Patriots and plus 4.5. I would take that. I would take the Pats and plus 4. February 8th, 6:30 p.m. I'm trying to see what else we got going on here. We got the East-West football game coming up too. The East is let's see here. The West is a 1.5 favorite. Well, you know, those odds are great. What if I do a parlay here? What if I take the West and the points? I take San Francisco, I take Seattle and give the points. And let's see here. What's another good game here? What else we got here? And then I take the Rockets to win the NBA Finals. Okay. All right. So right now we're here. Let's see here. And I'm going to bet on this 3-leg. I'm going to bet $100 on this 3-leg parlay. I would win $6,000. I took the East at a 1.5, and Seattle, I gave a 1.5, and I take the Houston Rockets to win the NBA Finals. $100 bet on the 3-leg parlay is $6,043. I like it. Know what I also like about the mighty FanDuel? They have the casino games. They have this Huff and Puff game, which I actually kind of like. I do enjoy playing the casino games on the phone. I don't know why. They have this one called Mo Mummy, which I kind of like playing. And they have a new Godfather game, part of the new Godfather I do enjoy playing that. FanDuel, like I said, don't forget, new customers bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make sure you download the app. Make sure you get the sportsbook. Make sure you game responsibly on themightyfanduel.com. Yeah, I got out of the promo. I forgot. Why did someone fucking remind me? I do like the casino games. I don't know why. I do like the slot machine games. Slider, on your next stream, is it okay if I put up a link and put out my merch? Sure. I don't care. I don't give a shit. All you have to do is pay me like FanDuel does. No, of course you can. All right, guys, it is 4:50. I'm going to check out. I don't think we're at 70 likes, but that's all right. I hope everyone enjoyed the video. We'll have a short up today as well. Make sure you get that one more like, because then we will be at 70. Make sure you there'll be a short out today, I think, talking about everything we just talked about. Make sure you hit the note. Oh, we did hit 70. Make sure you hit 71 now. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the notification button. But you have to make sure you hit notification also. You are exactly understanding when all the streams are coming out live. We're probably not going to go live again until Saturday at 10:15 a.m. So make sure you stay tuned for that. I appreciate everyone that hung out today for as long as you did. Again, this is Tim's New York Giants Straight Talk, powered by Online Big Blue LLC, brought to you by the Mighty FanDuel. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day, and we're out of here.